Okay, in this video I want to show you my Altair 8800 computer. Many feel that this is one of the first widely available personal computers. It was introduced in the 74-75 era. This particular one I picked up at a swap meet, electronic swap meet in Minneapolis in the early 80s. A gentleman had arrived mid-morning and set up a couple card tables and put out 3 computers. This one, the Intel 8008 system, which I haven't shown in another video, and a Sol 20. And I managed to buy this one and the Intel system, so 2 pretty kind of neat early computers. I took this particular one home. It's very clean, very original, and one day I found the Altair registry, which was asking people to submit serial numbers of their Altair, so I thought I would add mine to the list. I figured mine's a pretty high number. It was like 2,000 something, and went to the list and I found out, oh, they all start with that this is actually the 5th one that was ever built. Still functional. See, the lights are working, flashing. Obviously I don't know how to program this thing, but it still does light up, so it is somewhat functional. Let me show you the serial number part. Okay, the serial number is 220005A, and it turns out that they started all their serial numbers with 22. So it turns out that this is the 5th one built, and it's A means it's factory assembled. If it had been a kit, it would have had a K. Let's pop the lid on it and see what's inside. This particular unit has 4 cards installed. I don't know if it came with all 4 originally. I doubt it. It has the CPU card with the white ceramic CPU in it, 8080. A couple 1K static memory cards, and a serial card. And there's no fan installed with this particular one, and the power supply, but very, very clean and original. Now, it also came with this keyboard, which I assumed was just the keyboard to operate it with. I later found out, no, this is from a Compter terminal. I don't have the display, but this was with the unit. And there's the serial number on that particular part. Okay. The Altair was announced late in '74. But it became very popular when it hit the cover of Popular Electronics in January of 1975. Les Solomon was the editor, and this particular issue prompted orders for more kits than Ed Roberts could keep up with, and it actually took him several months to fill all the orders. The picture of the Altair on the cover doesn't look anything like the one I've got. And that's because that was a fake mock-up one that he had supplied pictures to some of the publications for before the Altair was actually built. I have a issue of People's Computer Company magazine from January, the same month of 1975. This is Bob Albrecht, published. And that shows the Altair more like what we have here. And there's a 2-page article of information about it in this issue also. So that was kind of interesting. So I did a little research on serial numbers, kind of find out, well, where were some of these early Altairs, who had them. And this is what I found out. Supposedly, the very first one was sent to Les Solomon, the editor at Popular Electronics, and it got lost in shipment. So another first one was supposedly sent to Bob Albrecht at People's Computer Company. And the second one was supposedly picked up by 2 members of the Homebrew Club who went to Albuquerque and waited till they could get one. And then number 3, and here I have some evidence that supports this, actual serial number 3 did end up with Les Solomon, the editor at Popular Electronics. He later sold it to a friend who then had his daughter sell it for him on eBay, and it ended up in a museum in England, and that's pretty well documented. And I'll actually show you that serial number in a second. The fourth one supposedly went to Steve Dampier of the Homebrew Club. The fifth one, sitting right here with us now, and 2 others that have been documented. One is kind of nice because David Larson of the LCF group in Virginia has a video on YouTube on this machine. He has number 21, and it actually has the original packing list with it, and it was shipped on December 17th, 1974. So that helps me date this one to sometime before December 17th of 1974. Bruce Dahmer at the Digibarn Museum also has one that's number 47, and that's factory assembled. Now let me show you the serial number of the number 3 machine that Les Solomon had. Now I'm comparing that to the one on my computer. Notice the serial number sticker on the number 3 machine has obviously been removed and replaced a few times. It's all crinkled up, and it's also been cut off on the right hand edge, so we don't know if it was a K for a kit or an A for assembled. And I don't know, maybe Ed Roberts just didn't want Les Solomon to know about the A and the K when he reviewed this particular computer for the January issue of Popular Electronics. So a little bit of serial number history there. So let's take a look then at what some of the boards look like in my computer. I took some close-up photos. This particular one has a white 8080 ceramic CPU, and on the board near the bottom it's marked CPU board revision 0, and it's also painted on in yellow ink. So that's the CPU board. The static memory boards, there's 2 of them. Here's one, and it contains 8 RAM chips. They are Intel 8101s. I know this changed later on. They use different ones like 2101s and what have you. And this one also has the yellow printing on the board along with the mask, as you see on the bottom, 1K stat mem board rev 0. Now the other memory board is a little bit different. Same on the bottom, basically the same chips, but this one originally came with only 2 chips. They have different packages than the other 6, and I guess that was typical of early Altair memory boards. They only came with 256 words of memory, and you had to add the other chips to get it up to 1K. Also, this board has a serial card, which allowed it to be hooked up to the counter unit, the terminal. And that chip is kind of early in that it's got gray traces. Not sure who the manufacturer is, but it's marked 88-S10A Rev 0. So those are the boards that are included in this particular computer. So we've got a fairly early Altair computer, one of the first few built. Why it ended up in Minneapolis and who the guy was, I don't know. But he must have been pretty important to have somehow secured the 5th unit, whether he worked for a company that was researching computers or a magazine, I don't know. But he also had the very early Intel system, which I'll show in another video, that turns out to be even earlier than this by a couple of years. So kind of an interesting piece of history. I'm hoping that this one will end up in a museum someday. I think that's where it deserves to be. So if you have any questions or interest, you'll have to contact me. My contact information is given in the below the video there. So thanks for looking, and we'll see you in a couple other videos, I hope.